Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege to have you guys joining me here today. And it's kind of wacky in Los Angeles. For those of you who are watching live, and we do this show live Monday through Friday, normally at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We actually started this show late today because we went into our studio. You got to understand, Los Angeles, it does not rain. It hasn't rained here in months. And today, torrential downpours. And we got into our studio, and our studio is the top floor of this building in Hollywood. And we got in there to find 25 leaks. 25 leaks. So we had to tear everything down, wrap up all the equipment in plastic to keep everything safe. And then I had to hightail it back here. And because of a number of different factors, it took me over an hour and a half to drive home to do the show from my studio today. So my apologies, guys, for the delay today. But listen, we got a lot of stuff to get to, so let's dive right into it. Off the top with this. Now, one of the films in studios right now, or in theaters right now, is, of course, Creed 2. And Creed 2 is great. I really enjoy it. And, of course, the antagonist, I should say, of course, is the DRAGO family, right? Ivan Drago and his son, Viktor Drago. And this dude is a genetic freak. The dude who plays Viktor Drago is just a genetically Florian something or something. I've never been able to pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to try to start doing it now. But the dude is a physical specimen and a freak. And the two of them as father and son were great, right? Really great. Anyway, we heard the other day now that Sylvester Stallone, we talked about this on the show yesterday, Sylvester Stallone is talking about how he's now done playing Rocky Balboa. He's done. He's hanging him up. That Creed 2 was the final time he was going to play Rocky Balboa. And we talked about that yesterday. But that doesn't necessarily mean the Creed movies are done. And it may not mean the Creed franchise is done. Because the director of Creed 2, which was not Ryan Coogler, but rather Stephen Caple, I think is the way you say his name. Stephen Caple Jr., who directed Creed 2, he's saying he may have a spin-off movie in mind involving the Dragos. Here's what he had to say. He said this: Dolph was like, we could have our own movie. Their characters are really established here, and I think that'd be fun to see where they go after this. I never thought about it in a serious way because we always joked about it. But now that we have time to breathe, I probably will. I think it would be fun. I think what happens to them after this will still be interesting, and where they go, there'll still be much in the relationship that can be explored. So here we're hearing that the director of Creed 2 is saying that he may be up and interested in doing a spin-off movie about Ivan and Viktor Drago. Here's my thoughts on this. While I loved these characters in the movie, and while I've always liked Dolph Lundgren, the fact of the matter is, real thespians, these guys are not. Neither of these guys are real thespians. One guy is a fighter, and, you know, as much as I love seeing Dolph Lundgren pop up and stuff, he was just in Arrow last season, and I loved seeing him pop up in that. I do not think he can carry a film. And this kid Florian, while he's great in this movie in that role, this non-speaking machine of destruction kind of role, I do not think he can carry a film. I think both of these guys as side characters, supplemental characters, can work very well. But to put the weight of a movie on their shoulders, I just don't know that they can carry a film. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong about that. But as much as there's some kind of cool, interesting novelty factor in the idea of seeing a Drago movie, cool, but honestly, with them in the cast, I just don't think you can do it. Again, I think they work marvelously as supplemental characters. I just don't think they can be the leads. That's just the way I kind of see it. What do you guys think? Maybe you think they can be the leads. Jump down to the comment section and let me know what you think. All right, with that off the top out of the way, let's go into our main topics. And how do we select our main topics around here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's pretty simple. You guys select them by emailing me your topics and questions anytime to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right. with that out of the way, let's get to our first question of the day. And our first email today comes to us from Joshua Toussaint, who writes, we talk about Michael Fassbender not being in the best films as of late, but what about Jennifer Lawrence? From 2015 to now, her films have been Mockingjay Part 2, Joy, X-Men Apocalypse, Passengers, Mother, and Red Sparrow. She's elite, but could her selection of films hurt her career long term? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Joshua. And yeah, you're right. We've talked a lot in the last couple of years about Michael Fassbender, world-class actor, but he's been in some awful movies. Some of the worst movies of the last few years has starred Michael Fassbender. Here's hoping he's getting back on track with X-Men Dark Phoenix. But what about Jennifer Lawrence? You know? What about Jennifer Lawrence? She, like Michael Fassbender, elite, world class, top of the top, one of the most sought after actresses in the business. She's fantastic. I know a lot of people get tired of her and all that kind of stuff. Fine. But there's no taking away when it comes to, like, if acting was a mutant power, she's Magneto level. If acting was a mutant power, she's absolutely Charles Xavier Magneto level. She's just that good. She really is. You can be tired of her, that's fine, but she's just that good. But despite the fact that she's really good, the reality is like Michael Fassbender, she's had a number of stinkers in a row. Now, I'm not including Mockingjay Part 2 because there's a lot of people that still like Mockingjay Part 2. I did not, but a lot of people still do. But even if we take Mockingjay Part 2 out of it, Joy, which she was great in, but the movie was weak. Passengers, X-Men Apocalypse, big letdown. Red Sparrow, again, she was great in it, but you know, that did not live up anywhere near to its potential. Mother, which is just a mess of a movie. Great art, terrible mess of a movie. And these are her last 5 films. These are the last 5 films she's done. Now, she's got X-Men Dark Phoenix coming out with her and Michael Fassbender. Here's hoping that's a redemption movie for both of them. Now, one of the other things I want to say about all these films here, whether it's Red Sparrow, Mother, Passengers, Joy, X-Men Apocalypse, and maybe not so much X-Men Apocalypse, because we all know Jennifer Lawrence just phoned in her effort when it came to the X-Men films. But Red Sparrow, Mother, Passengers, Joy, she was great in all of them. Like, even though she was in bad movies, she brought it, right? As much as any actor can, she brought it. Actually, didn't she even get an Academy Award nomination for Joy? I can't remember off the top of my head, but something tells me she got an Academy Award nomination for Joy. Anyway. And you can say the same thing about Michael Fassbender. Even in the movies that are terrible, he tries to bring an effort at least. The question is, can it being in this many bad films in a row, has this hurt her career? Maybe. It's possible. I mean, right now, the only 2 movies she has coming up are X-Men Dark Phoenix, and then this other movie that's based on that true story called Bad Blood about, she stars as this woman who started this, I think, genetics company that was looking for a cure for something or other, but they did bad science and it turned out all being a scam and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the movie's called Bad Blood. These are the only 2 films she has upcoming. Now, that might mean nothing. That might mean she's just, lessening her workload because she's worked a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. Tons of work. So maybe she's just scaling back, wants to take a break. Or maybe it just means she's not getting offered as many roles as she was before. Maybe she's not being offered the big high-profile roles like she was before. Again, you put out these 5 films in a row, maybe it does affect her. So I'm not willing to sit here and say that being in this slump has derailed her career. I'm not ready to say that. I will say, though, hey, I mean, it's possible. Hollywood is a what have you done for me lately kind of business, and this is what she's been in. And even though I think it should be pointed, none of it is her fault. Mother being a mess of a film was not her fault. All she can do is act great, and she did act great in it. Joy being a disappointment, not her fault. All she can do is act her ass off, and she did act her ass off in Joy. And I'm telling you right now, I'm a big producer in Hollywood and I got a big movie coming out and it's an Oscar buzz kind of movie and I've got this juicy lead female role in it, I would not hesitate to put Jennifer Lawrence in it. Not hesitate for a second. But maybe there is something to that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think these 5 movies in a row, and maybe 6 if you want to count Mockingjay Part 2, do you think this has hurt her career at all? Or do you think, nah, this is a blip on her radar, she'll be fine? Jump down to the comments section below and let me know what you think. All right, let's move on to the second email today. And the second email today comes to us from, speaking of Victor Drago, Victor B writes, I was watching last night's episode of The Weekly Hero, and something you guys mentioned in passing really stuck with me. With the huge success of Venom, all the rave reviews of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, not to mention Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and the first Amazing Spider-Man, is it just time for us film fans to admit Sony is actually pretty good at this, and we underestimated them this whole time? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Victor. And you know what, Victor, personally, I love that you asked this question. I love that you asked this question. Because if you guys remember, and I'm sure that you do, as we were approaching when Venom was going to be coming out, and everybody's saying, Venom, Sony can't do anything. Sony doesn't know how to do these movies, blah, blah. I kept telling people, guys, this is the same studio. Did they do Spider-Man 3 with Emo Peter? Yes. Did they do that Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro, with their Jamie Foxx Electro? Yes. But guess what? This is still the same studio that did Spider-Man 1. This is the same studio that did Spider-Man 2, which for a lot of us thought was probably the best comic book movie for a long time. This is the same studio that gave us the Amazing Spider-Man 1. That first one with Andrew Garfield was really good. Critic reviews are strong for it. Audience reviews are strong for it. It was really good. I love that movie. Did they have some missteps? Absolutely they did. You're going to get no argument from me out of that. But I kept saying, guys, hey, don't go discounting this Venom movie because Sony has cranked out some really good ones before. But it became cool. It became this mantra went around, oh no, Sony doesn't know what they're doing. Sony doesn't know what they're doing. Sony doesn't know what they're doing. I guess, what are you talking about, guys? They've had missteps. Every studio's had missteps. They've had missteps, but they've cranked out some really good stuff. Doesn't mean that Venom's going to be any good, but I think it gives us some basis for hope. So anyway, Venom comes out. Audiences, by and large, seem to really enjoy it. Even if it didn't go over well with the critics, I liked it. The audiences seem to really like it. And it's made over $830 million. And guess what? It just might catch Spider-Man Homecoming. Huge, massive global hit. And now the reviews started coming out for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which we talked about on yesterday's show. And the last I checked, it was at 100%. Now, I said there's no way it's going to stay at 100%. So let me just check this out. Into the Spider-Verse on Rotten Tomatoes. Right now, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse on Rotten Tomatoes. Nope, guess what? It's still holding 100%. It still holds 100%. 100% with 42 reviews in. Now, that's probably only about, 1/3 to half of the reviews. There's going to be more. I still don't believe it's going to end up at 100%. It's going to come down a little bit. But 42 plus reviews from critics are in, and it's holding 100%. And this is one of those movies that I thought I didn't even want to give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse the time of day. But the reality now is, this is what Sony's given us. If we take out those obvious missteps of Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, you got Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 1, Venom, and now this thing that's being lauded. By the way, some major outlets like Slash Film and a couple others are calling Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse the best comic book film of the year. Over Avengers Infinity War, by the way. I'm not saying that because I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to see it pretty soon. But the amazing Sony man here, look, the fact of the matter is, I think, Victor, you are right. I think it's time for a lot of us in the movie-going audience to bite our bottom lip, eat a little crow, and go, you know what? We were too harsh on Sony. Turns out, Sony kind of does know what they're doing. They've made mistakes. They'll probably make more in the future. And we'll call them out on that when they do. But I think by and large, the movie-going audience owes Sony a little bit of an apology. We just ignored Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 and they made Spider-Man 1, and they just focused completely on the train wreck that was Spider-Man 3 and on the big disappointment that was The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And we just, for whatever reason, we just pretended all those other ones didn't exist. And now, this movie, everybody said, Sony's doing Venom. It's going to flop. No one's going to go see Venom. Blah, blah, blah. $800+ million later. And this Venom into the and this Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, which I said was a bad idea. Guilty, this guy right here, guilty, saying, I don't like this idea, Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. I didn't like the look of the animation. I just thought it was kind of a weird idea to do this while you got live action Spider-Man going on, and I poo-pooed on it. But then I started seeing more and more trailers, and I'm like, damn, this looks better than I was giving it credit for. And now these reviews come out 100% across the board. That doesn't mean I'm going to like it. Doesn't mean you're going to like it. But you got to admit, it's at least a positive sign, right? So I'm going to say, you know what, Victor? Yes. Film fans got to swallow it and go, we owe Sony an apology. They're not perfect. They've made mistakes. They're going to make more. But by and large, they've given us some pretty damn fine comic book films. Not to mention all the other types of films. But when it comes to talking about the comic book genre and if they know what they're doing, they've given us some wonderful comic book films. And it appears like they're continuing to do that. So, yeah, Victor, I think we owe them an apology. And I'll be the first one to apologize for doubting Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'll be the first one because it's looking pretty damn great. So anyway, yeah, of course they won't. Like, you're not going to see people get online and say, I owe Sony apology. You're never going to see anybody do that. We're too proud of people. But that, hey, we probably should. Anyway, let's move on now to the next email. And the next email today comes to us from Jason Boyce. And Jason Boyce writes, Hey, John, last December, we saw 2 films defy expectations and become very profitable. Those films being Greatest Showman and Jumanji. Showman had a very weak opening weekend with just under $9 million, and Jumanji opened to a decent $36 million, but then both had very strong legs and finished at $434 million Showman and $962 million Jumanji, globally. Are there any films this December you can see doing something similar? Thanks for all the great work. You're the best. All right, thanks a lot for the email, Jason. And yes, last year, nobody was expecting a big thing coming out of Jumanji. We all thought, well, it's got The Rock, so it could be profitable, but we weren't expecting almost $1 billion. We weren't expecting that. Greatest Showman, nice little musical, and you're right, it started weak. But word of mouth goes over $400 million. Now, we've got some big films coming this December. Some big films. Those are obvious. Aquaman, Bumblebee, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Mary Poppins. Yeah, we got these big films that we're expecting things from. But are there any films coming out in December that could maybe be those sleeper breakout hits? Well, maybe. There are a couple of candidates for that, I would suggest. Obviously, one is The Mule. Okay, The Mule. Now, I got to double check, but the Mule reminds me a lot of American Sniper, another Clint Eastwood directed film that a lot of people slept on. It. It ended up making $547 million. American Sniper. So now we've got Clint is back. And he's got Bradley Cooper working with him again. And he's got this little film called The Mule. Now, I'm not saying The Mule is going to make $400 million. But if we want to talk about films that potentially have the potential to sneak up on us and be a little bit of a sleeper hit come December, I think you got to include The Mule in that conversation. What about Once Upon a Deadpool? You know, nobody gave the first Deadpool a lot of credit. They thought, I could make a little bit of money. Nobody saw $700+ million coming for it. Maybe we're sleeping on Once Upon a Deadpool. Look, I said Once Upon a Deadpool won't even make $100 million. All right? I said Once Upon a Deadpool won't even make $100 million. But hey, if we're going to talk about films that have the potential to sneak up on us and be a little bit of a sleeper hit and exceed those expectations, I think you got to put Once Upon a Deadpool in that conversation. How about Steve Carell's Welcome to Marwen? This is a really special looking film, and it's being drowned out right now by all the big players, right? Because it's opening in that same weekend of death. It's opening against Aquaman and Bumblebee and Mary Poppins and all kind of stuff. And it's that little Oscar baity movie that could maybe. Out of any of these that look like they could be this year's Greatest Showman, and Welcome to Marwen's not a musical, but if any of this December's movies look like they could be 2018's Greatest Showman, it might be Welcome to Marwen. This could be one of those films that starts slow and then word of mouth, much like Greatest Showman. And maybe it's got the potential to be one of these $400 million mega hits. We're not expecting it, but that's what makes it a sleeper. I think you got to consider that. Holmes and Watson. I love Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly together. I really like Talladega Nights, and Step Brothers is one of my all-time favorite comedies. Personally, I think the trailers for Holmes and Watson look like ass. I have not enjoyed the trailer at all. I think it looks terrible. But who knows? It's still Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. So I'm not going to count that out. Maybe that one could be a sleeper hit. And then, of course, you got to talk about the new Christian Bale film, Vice, where he plays probably the most powerful vice president in the history of the United States, Dick Cheney. That looks amazing, by the way. Sam Rockwell playing George W. Bush. You got the aforementioned Steve Carell playing Donald Rumsfeld. I mean, the cast is insane. It's clearly an Oscar buzz kind of movie. Not a lot of people talking about it, not as far as box office goes. But if you're going to talk about films in December that have the potential, if I had to pick one, if I only could pick one out of like these five to say which one would I say has the most potential to be that breakout sleeper hit, I'm going to go with The Mule. Clint Eastwood's back. His last outing did almost over $500 million. He's got Bradley Cooper back with him. The trailer for The Mule looks great. Again, I don't expect any of these to have big opening weekend numbers because, Jumanji didn't have big opening weekend numbers. Greatest Showman didn't have big opening weekend numbers. I don't expect any of these to have big opening weekend numbers. But if any of them has the real potential, I had to pick just one, I'm going to go with The Mule. What do you guys think? Some of you pick Vice. Do you think Welcome to Marwen? Once Upon Deadpool? Jump down to the comment section and let me know what you think. All right, let's move on now to the next email. And the next email today comes to us from Patricia Dugan, who writes, with the award season coming upon us, I was wondering what you thought about comedies in 2018. Comedy is my favorite genre, and while there were a few good ones, I thought it was kind of a weak year overall. So my question is, what do you think are the top comedies of 2018? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Patricia. And look, like you, I love I think all of us deep down love a good comedy. We all love good comedies, right? And I also have to agree with you, Patricia, 2018 was not the best year for comedies. There were some good ones, but overall, kind of a weak year for comedies. Of that, I don't think we can disagree. But what were some of the better ones of this year? Well, when we look down the list of some of the comedies that came out, a lot of stinkers. Look, Spy Who Dumped Me, stinker. Life of the Party, I actually thought looked pretty good, not so good. I actually was intrigued by the premise behind I Feel Pretty. I thought the premise of it was very interesting, and it didn't work out so well. I love Tiffany Haddish, and I love me some Kevin Hart, so I was looking forward to Night School. Not so much. Overboard, never expected much from it, and it certainly didn't deliver much. Blockers was one that had a lot of potential. Blockers was one of those comedies that I thought the trailers looked really good. I love Leslie Mann. Love her. Actually, the cast was always pretty intriguing. Unfortunately, while John Cena is finding his stride with comedy chops, I think, unfortunately, what we discovered in Blockers that he is not ready to be a leading guy, even in comedy. He can't carry a film. And so, while Blockers wasn't bad, I didn't love it. And I don't think it lived up to its potential. Well, that leaves us with what I thought were three pretty darn good comedies. One, Crazy Rich Asians. which I just watched again the other night, it is a totally formulaic romantic comedy. There's no way around it. It's a completely formulaic, paint-by-the-numbers romantic comedy with a few unique aspects to it that we haven't seen in films before, at least in big, wide-release films before. But you know what? Despite the formulaic nature of the movie, it was funny, it was charming, it was endearing, had some really good feel moments, and just some really good laughs. You know, I've never liked Awkwafina that much. She's hilarious in this movie. Anne calls her the Asian Melissa McCarthy, and she's not all that wrong on that. The Asian Melissa McCarthy. But I thought Crazy Rich Asians was really, really quite nice. Tag. This is probably my biggest surprise comedy of the year was Tag. Tag was a deeper movie than you might think, but it was also funnier than I thought it was going to be and had some really good feels in it as well. And I actually ended up thoroughly enjoying Tag. A whole hell of a lot. Way more than I thought I was going to. So Tag was a good one. But honestly, and we're talking about pure comedies here, right? We're talking about pure comedies. Like you could say Black Klansman was a comedy. Well, it's a drama comedy, quasi-biopic comedy. It was a mixed genre thing. I'm talking about pure comedies. Tag, for me, the comedy of the year is Game Night. Game Night, again, such a pleasant surprise. I honestly wasn't expecting that much, despite the fact that we all love Jason Bateman, and everybody loves the good Canadian kid Rachel McAdams. We all love, the cast looked great, enjoyed that, but I honestly didn't think the trailers were all that funny, so I didn't know what to expect. Went into it, I laughed like almost the whole way through. I was at the very minimum grinning for every second, so I was either grinning, chuckling, or laughing out loud the entire movie. Far better than I was expecting, and for me, the comedy of the year has got to be Game Night. But then again, there's only even really 4, I would say, that were worth really watching. Crazy Rich Asians, Tags, and Game Night. I'll say Blockers was worth watching, just didn't live up to its potential. Then a lot of very, very disappointing comedies, unfortunately. And that was the year of 2018 in the world of comedies, unfortunately. A disappointing, underperforming year with a couple of diamonds in the rough. And I would say Game Night was the best comedy of the year. What do you guys, what would you say was the best pure comedy of the year? Jump down to the comment section and let me know what you think. All right, let's go on now to the final email of the day. And the final email today comes to us from Oliver St. James, who writes, "No disrespect intended to Bumblebee or Mortal Engines or anything like that, but we all know that in December it really comes down to 2 movies, Mary Poppins and Aquaman. Which of these movies will prevail and claim December as their own? Thank you and bring on that filthy." All right, thanks a lot for the question, Oliver. And yeah, man, you're right. We all know it's coming down to 2 films. When it comes to box office, it's really going to come down to 2 films, Mary Poppins and Aquaman. Neither of these films will make as much money as they would have if they opened sometime else, but they are opening when they're opening, and they're both going to make money. The question is, which one will prevail out of these 2, Mary Poppins or Aquaman? Well, when you talk to the people involved, even the filmmakers are a little bit nervous. Somebody asked James Wan, the director of Aquaman, does it make you nervous opening up in the same window as Mary Poppins? Here's what James Wan had to say. James Wan said, "For sure. I think I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. But generally around the holidays, there's a lot to go around," which was pointed out to us when Star Wars Last Jedi and Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle opened on top of each other. You see how well Jumanji played. And James Wan's not wrong. Last December, we saw a number of big hits. And I like his honesty, saying, yeah, of course I'm worried. Opening against Mary Poppins, of course I'm worried. The difference, though, between last year and this year was you did not have the Murderer's Row like you do this year. You had 1 or 2 high-profile films. This year is different. You got Mortal Engines, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Bumblebee, Aquaman, Mary Poppins, and then a bunch of Oscar buzzworthies that aren't going to make anywhere near as much money, but they're going to take some of the money. They're going to take some of it. So I think James Wan is right on both counts. On one hand, he should be a little bit worried. On the second hand, yes, last year we saw there's a lot to go around in this December window because that's when most people go to the movies. However, this year is different than last year. There's more high-profile films opening in this window than in any other time. What do I think is going to be the film that prevails? Mary Poppins. I think Mary Poppins is going to prevail. But let me give you an asterisk to that. I think Aquaman's going to have the bigger opening weekend. To me, this is kind of similar to me in the discussion about what's going to be the biggest film of 2019. Is it going to be Avengers 4 or is it going to be Lion King? And I'm not willing to say it's going to be Lion King. I'm starting to suspect it might be Lion King. But it just like in that situation, Mary Poppins is not going to be the type of movie that everybody feels compelled to rush out to see opening weekend. You know what I mean? Whereas Aquaman is the kind of movie that me and a lot of you feel like, opening weekend, I'm there, right? So I know that's me. That's probably a lot of you too. Mary Poppins isn't that kind of movie. But I suspect that Mary Poppins will have the better legs. And that Mary Poppins in the long run is actually going to end up prevailing over Aquaman. I think, in the first 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to see Aquaman's going to have the bigger box office results. But I think once we get to week 6, 7, and 8, we're going to see Mary Poppins has passed it. That's my guess at this point, at any rate. Bottom line is, I think they're both going to do swell. Did I just say swell? I haven't said the word swell in like 15 years. Anyway, I think they're both going to do swell. Golly. I think they're both going to do just fine. I'm so excited about Aquaman. I cannot wait to see it. And I'm very excited for Mary Poppins as well. And Mary Poppins is actually getting Oscar buzz at this point. So I'm very stoked to see them both. And they're both going to do well. But I'm going to guess in the long run, even though Aquaman will open bigger and have the bigger first couple of weeks, I think in the long run, it's probably going to end up being Mary Poppins. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way off base on that. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Bumblebee. Maybe we're all wrong and it's going to be Bumblebee. Who knows? Jump down to the comments section and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that out of the way, I'm going to go on now and take some live questions you guys sent in. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of this out of order because in the midst of all the chaos this morning to get the John Campea Show started, we actually had to reset the show, which meant we lost a bunch of the live questions that had already been sent in. So I am going to do the best I can here to get this set up. So just be patient with me for a couple of minutes here while I get this all set up here. And I see where we're already... I'm trying my best here, guys. Oh, dear. Give me a second. I'm having a hard time pulling this together. La 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 la. This is the glory of doing these stupid things live. All right. First thing I will do is I will get to the questions that have been sent in on this live stream. And guys, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to recover the live questions that got sent in early on the previous stream that got reset. And I will try to answer those in a companion video because I just don't have any way to pull them up right now. So I'm going to just try to get to the live questions that have been sent in now and for this particular incarnation of the stream. And we'll see where we're at here. As you can tell, I didn't even have time to get all this kind of stuff set. You're looking behind the mirror now and seeing all the technical doodads that go on here so I can get everything set and ready to go. All right. So let's see if I can get things actually started here. Where are we? We are right here. We're ready to go. We're going to start things off with Curtis Lopez. And Curtis Lopez writes, if you happen to be in the same theater with me during Lion King, when the Simba versus Scar slow-mo scene happens, I will squeal like a boy band fangirl. Well, I mean, remember, this is not a shot-for-shot remake. I know they did some of that for the trailer, but I think that was by design and on purpose. And I do think we will definitely get a lot of the classic shots from the original Lion King in this movie, but it's not a shot-for-shot remake, so that particular scene may not be in there. We'll have to wait and see. But dude, Listen, I think there's going to be a whole lot of squealing done by a whole lot of people during a whole lot of the moments of the Lion King thing. I mean, just from that opening, when Rafiki holds up baby Simba, you're going to hear audiences go nuts. The moment that starts, by the way, my voice is just awesome. As soon as that starts, you're going to hear squealing. As soon as they start singing Hakuna Matata, you're going to hear people screaming. As soon as this happens and that happens, there's going to be plenty of squealing going on for a lot of us. Don't you worry about that. All right, Curtis follows up with, also, when the last circle of life happens, when the movie ends, I will roll on the floor and cry like a baby. Again, Curtis, not only a lot of squealing, there's going to be a lot of crying like a baby. There's, number one, Lion King, to me, is the greatest animated film of all time. The nostalgia factor, so just the fact that the story itself is so great, is already that. Then you add on top of that the nostalgia factor. And seeing it now revisited in a new medium to give us an experience with it like we've never had before, it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be absolutely bonkers. So, yep, Curtis, lots of squealing and lots of crying like a baby to go around for everybody. Don't you worry about that. Chris Warden writes, in my opinion, some people don't get how hard it is for a movie to join the $1 billion club, let alone how next to impossible it is to join the $2 billion club. Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like, I just can't, when I hear people say, oh yeah, 3 movies are going to join the $2 billion club next year. 4 movies are going to join the Avengers 4 is easily going to join the $2 billion club. Guys, 4 films in cinematic history have joined the $2 billion club. And the last 2 to do it, Star Wars The Force Awakens and Avengers 3, barely got into the $2 billion club. Like, just barely. Neither of them even hit 2.1. They're both under 2.1. They both just barely scraped their way into the $2 billion club. It is a tall, tall order. And even the $1 billion club, my God, in the history of cinema, I think around 35 films in the history of cinema have joined the $1 billion club. Yeah, a lot of people underestimate how hard it is for a film to hit the $1 billion club. And my God, how nearly impossible it is to get the $2 billion club. I'm not sure how many of them hit it next year. I'm not even positive even one next year hits the $2 billion club. I'm not even positive about that. I suspect Avengers 4 will. I suspect Lion King will. But, I mean, I think there's an outside chance Frozen 2, Toy Story 2, and Star Wars Episode 9, I think there's an outside chance those ones could. But honestly, I'm not convinced any of them are going to join the $2 billion club. It's a tall order. Chris Warden follows that up with, it's possible that no movie makes $2 billion in 2019. I do think, however, that Avengers 4, Lion King, and Episode 9 can all do over $1.5 billion at the box office. And if that happens, Disney will be beyond happy. Oh my God. Well, first of all, listen, all these films we're talking about maybe having a shot at $2 billion club. Avengers 4, Star Wars Episode 9, Lion King, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2. They're all Disney films. All Disney films. It's going to be a ridiculous year for Disney next year. Absolutely ridiculous year. Probably going to be a record-breaking year for Disney next year. So, yeah, but whether or not any of them actually get into the $2 billion club, we're going to have to wait and see. Martin Volek writes, there's always something wrong in the studio. Mic sound, electricity out, construction noise, rain leaks. What kind of customer service is this? Yeah, man, hey, look, it has not been as smooth as I want it to be. I'll just be frank with you. It has not been as smooth as I wanted it to be. Now, this studio that I'm now running, it's been around a while. You know, we used to shoot AMC Movie Talk at the Stream Studio back in the day. But, yeah, the transition has not... Look, you know me. I just call it like... I just say it like it is. I'm always open with you guys. It has not been nearly as easy. It has not... We've been way more problems than I've anticipated. And has not been as smooth as a transition as I wanted it to be. It just hasn't been. Far too many times I've had to come back here and do the show from here. And I don't mind doing the show from here. I like being at home. It's great. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting really frustrated. especially after the show we had yesterday. Like, we did the show from the studio yesterday. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett were in there. That was one of the best shows we've done yet. And one of the earlier shows, like just from last week, we had an excellent couple of shows last week. We had an excellent show yesterday. And then something like this happens again. With the torrential downpour, granted, you can't predict the weather, but our freaking incompetent landlord, and I shouldn't say that, I recant that, but our landlord doesn't make sure that the roof is leak-proofed? What? And it's one thing if there was like one little leak. There were over 25 leaks. 25 leaks. Now, I don't know, we haven't made this official yet, but we are, by the way, we are moving out of that studio. We found a better studio for us, a bigger studio, much more conducive to our needs that we're going to be moving into in February. So thank goodness, but we got to find a way to make this work and make it work better now. Now, we've solved a lot of our problems. We were plagued with audio problems. I think you guys will acknowledge we fixed our audio problems. We're good on our audio now, so that's great. But yeah, it just seems to be like one thing after another, right? But we'll get there. We'll get there. It's a bumpy road to get there, but we'll get there. So anyway, Marie Seifring writes, sorry to hear about the studio. Any idea how long it will take to fix the leaks? Is equipment okay? Good luck with that. Great show with Robert Meyer Burnett yesterday. Well, thank you so much, Marie. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to fix the leaks. I don't know. I mean, because obviously while it's raining, to give them a little bit of a break, you can't go up there and tar it while it's raining. I mean, so it's got to be dry before you start fixing. So I don't know. I'm anticipating I'm probably going to be doing the show from back here again tomorrow. We got so lucky, though, because with all the leaks, that one scene in Pulp Fiction, when the guy pulls out a gun and shoots at Samuel Jackson and all the bullets miss him, like they all miss him like it's miraculous, all of our major equipment, like our $5,000 cameras and our $10,000 soundboard and our blah, blah, like all this ridiculous, all of our major equipment, it was like that. All the leaks missed all of our major equipment. So, but more and more leaks were popping up, so we didn't want to take any risks. We wrapped all of our gear in plastic and all that kind of stuff. So, but everything right now seems okay. Hopefully, I mean, there's a chance we'll be back in the studio tomorrow. If not, no problem. We'll be back and ready to go on Monday. Thanks for asking, Marie, and thanks for your concern. I appreciate that. Ben Rayner writes, did you know that The Fly Breaking Bad episode, probably the most divisive episode, I like that episode personally, was directed by Rian Johnson. Maybe we should have seen The Last Jedi coming, talking about divisiveness. Oh, no, that's ridiculous. No, that's ridiculous, Ben. First of all, The Fly was a great episode. And anybody with common sense loved Looper. And everybody loved Brick. And there's a reason why Rian Johnson was big and high on everybody in Hollywood's list. There's a reason Rian Johnson was high on every studio's list wanting to work with Rian Johnson. They all were. Everybody was. And it's funny now, there's a new story that came out today. Like a lot of people, mad at him because Rey's parents thing. Turns out, Daisy Ridley confirmed that even before she started shooting The Force Awakens, she was told that's how Rey's parents worked out. So that's not a Rian Johnson thing. And now, one of the concept artists just came out last night. Did you guys see this? A lot of people didn't like how they made Luke this guy who took himself away from the world, living like a hermit, blah, blah, blah. This concept artist said, oh no, they told me about that back in 2013. So that wasn't a Rian Johnson thing either. But, no, it's just funny how everybody, it's like the Sony thing, right? Everybody forgets how many great, the great comic book movies that Sony put out when they put out one or two bad ones. And they just focus on the thing they didn't like. It's the same thing with Rian Johnson. Everybody suddenly wants to pretend like Looper wasn't universally loved and that Brick doesn't exist. People just want to forget that and just pretend like, oh, who's this Rian Johnson guy? He was one of the most sought after directors in Hollywood. Did he make a divisive film? Yep, he did. But let's not start rewriting history and start pretending like he wasn't like one of the most sought after guys in the business at the time, because he was. But that's what we do. That's what we as film fans do. All right, Kevin Brown writes, no Avengers 4 trailer yet. I'm so sad. It's a trailer. Who cares? Don't get me wrong. I'm super anxious to see it too, but It's a trailer. It's a commercial. It's a piece of marketing. It's something designed by the corporate machine to manipulate you and to manipulate me. I know that, and I still can't wait to see it, but let's call it what it is. It is a product put together by a corporate machine to manipulate you into making you salivate to want to give them more money. I'm okay if we have to wait a little bit for it. Don't get me wrong. The moment I hear it's online, I'm like, where? That's going to be all of us. Like, where the hell is it? I heard a rumor it's online now. Where? And I'll freak out to see it. Absolutely. Just like everybody else. But, I mean, it's not like it's the movie. It's a commercial. It's a commercial, right? So I'm okay that it's not here yet. But yeah, I'm super anxious to see it just like everybody else. All right. Kevin Brown follows it up with, do you ever see TV providers contracting with some of the biggest content producing YouTube channels to stream their content like a normal TV channel? They've tried. There's a history. It's funny because I was just in a meeting like 2 weeks ago where this very topic came up. It's a different thing, TV and YouTube. It's a very, very different thing. Can you just count on something on YouTube just automatically translating out and working on television? And there's a lot of TV people now that think, no, that YouTube's not a place you can look to for something like that. So I don't know, we'll have to see. Sebastian writes, please be in the new studio, please. Well, as you can see, we're not in the new studio, unfortunately. Alex Von Gollum writes, hey, John, I think the title for the Avengers 4 Prelude comic could be Avengers ? Don't see Marvel have to issue it with the movie's actual name. Thoughts? You didn't word that quite right, Alex. Let me read it again. Hi, John. I think the title for the Avengers 4 Prelude comic could be Avengers ? Don't see Marvel have to issue it with the movie's actual name. Thoughts? I don't know. It all depends on what their plan is. I mean, look, there's nothing that says that a prequel comic has to have the name of the movie on it. Nothing at all. So, let's put it this way. I don't think they're going to let the name of the movie be revealed with the prequel comic. I don't think that's how they're going to reveal the name of the movie. So I'm with you on that. Ivan Pietro writes, over under 7.25% that Ben Affleck decides to stay in the DCU to play Batman for a few more years. I'll take the under on that, but also it's not just that. I don't know that Warner Brothers wants him back as Batman. And look, here, I'll be brutally honest here. You guys know how big of a fan I am of Ben Affleck. I've been a Ben Affleck defender long before Batman. And I was the first guy to get online when they announced Ben Affleck as Batman, when everybody else on the planet was putting out laughing memes, saying how stupid Warner Brothers was to get Ben Affleck. I was the first guy to get online on my channel. Remember, it was me and John Schnepp. We jumped online, and I was the first guy to put out a video that this was brilliant. I loved the casting of Ben Affleck as Batman. And all these bandwagoners now pretend like they're, oh no, we were all for Ben Affleck the whole time. Shut up. I saw your stuff. I saw your tweets. Anyway. As much of a huge, and Ben Affleck is my favorite incarnation of Batman that we've had on the big screen. And I love Ben Affleck, but I'll be honest with you. If I was Warner Brothers right now, I don't know at this point if I bring him back. Even if he wanted to, which I don't think he does, but even if he wanted to, I don't know that I'd bring him back. Let's call it what it is. I am still a big Ben Affleck fan, but if it was my money on the line, Ben Affleck kind of sabotaged Justice League. Because remember, the whole story in the press junkets leading up to Justice League coming out was, I'm just looking for a way to segue out of playing Batman. Ben, are you going to be back to play Batman again? I don't know. I wouldn't say that. The whole story was about that. You know, he kind of undermined it all. And then, of course, I mean, look, I'm not judging anybody for the personal issues they have with substance abuse and things like that. No judgment here. But if it's my money and I'm producing these movies, do I want to, take a big risk on him right now. I don't know. Maybe if I'm Warner Brothers, I just want to see, him just heal and get better and improve himself over the next couple of years and then maybe go back to it. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough sell. As a fan, I want Ben Affleck back as Batman. No questions asked. But if it was my money and I'm the producer and it's my neck on the line, I don't know. And I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. Just because I'm a big fan of Ben Affleck doesn't mean I stick my head in the sand. I'm just being honest, right? But, we're all cheering for the guy, obviously. Let's see here. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, for the record, that quote was from Man of Steel. Yes, I remember that afterwards that it was from Man of Steel. But it's tough, man. When I'm doing the show live and I'm doing 55 different things at once, sometimes I freeze on some quotes. But it was a good one, too. Ivan Pietro follows it up with, so, is it 100% sure that Cavill is out as Superman? Warner Brothers said they have no plans for a Superman movie, but they never confirmed nor denied that he is done. Oh, it's not 100% sure, but let's put it this way. I'll be shocked if he comes back as Superman. Shocked. Until the studio itself says he's done, you can't say it's 100% sure. But I trust the Hollywood Reporter. They say they've got very good sources that say that he is indeed done, that Warner Brothers is moving on from him as Superman. They're going to be doing something else. They've changed their whole plans for Superman in general, all that kind of stuff. And then when asked to either confirm or deny it, Warner Brothers refused to do either. Because I'll tell you right now, if he was still going to be your Superman, Warner Brothers comes out and says, oh, Henry Cavill is still our Superman. They could lie, but they at least say that, right? Remember when that BS rumor came out last year that James Wan was leaving Aquaman? Immediately, James Wan got on social media, and immediately Warner Brothers said, no, James Wan is still directing Aquaman. What did they say when that report came out about Henry Cavill not being Superman anymore? Well, we have no plans to do any more Superman movie right now. We have loved working with Henry Cavill, and we still do. What the hell does that mean? Just come out and say, Henry Cavill's still our Superman. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. So, can you say it's 100% done deal? He's out? No, you can't say that. You can't say that. But I would be shocked if he still came back. I think all the signs point to that he's gone. But you cannot say that it's 100%. You can't say that. Just by definition, you can't say that. Ben Rayner writes, thoughts on Me, Myself, and Irene, the Jim Carrey movie. I liked it. I remember, it's not one I've watched 5 or 6 times. I think I watched that movie twice. And Jim Carrey was very hot at the time. To me, while I liked it, and I still like it. I know some people that love that movie. I did not love it. And to be frank, with as hot as Jim Carrey was at the time, I thought it was a little bit of a letdown, even though overall I like it. And I think it's pretty good. It just didn't live up to, the hype and the role that Jim Carrey was on at the time. Toby Miller writes, Disney bringing out Jungle Cruise with The Rock next year. Could it do Jumanji numbers? Hey, look, you can't say no because it's, if I'm not mistaken, Emily Blunt's in it too, right? And look, I admit it, I thought a Jumanji movie? Really? Is that what we're going to? And I loved that movie. And look how successful it was. Jungle Cruise, I gotta say, I had the similar reaction to hearing they're doing a Jungle Cruise movie to the reaction I had when I heard they were doing Jumanji. Really? Really? And I have that reaction to a Jungle Cruise movie. But hell, that's why I always say, guys, stranger things have happened. Look at how big of a hit Jumanji was. So I'm not going to sit here and say it can't. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that Jungle Cruise next year cannot live up to the same kind of results that Jungle did. I'm just not. Now, would I bet on it? No, I don't suspect you're going to see a movie that gets close to $1 billion with it. But I ain't going to sit here and say it's impossible either. Not a chance. Especially when you got Emily Blunt joining him. Let's see here. Mr. Hank Dunn writes, Buffalo is going to destroy the Leafs come December 4th. Maybe. Maybe. It's one game, though. It's just one game. Right? I mean, look, the Detroit Lions beat the New England Patriots earlier this year. Who's the better team? Clearly, the New England Patriots are. But hey, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And the Leafs are having a really good year. I think they are the better team. But I'm not going to put it by Buffalo to beat them. Not at all. These are, after all, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it is, no matter how good things look, we got to remember it's the Toronto Maple Laughs, right? It's the Toronto Maple Laughs. And they have been a terrible team my entire life. But they're looking good this year. So I wouldn't put it by Buffalo to win that game. Let's see. Dark Sith writes, first time I've been able to listen to your show is, let me try that again. First time I've been able to listen live to your show is the best. Thanks for all you do. Do you think we will get a full Captain Marvel trailer before Avengers 4 trailer? I mean, Captain Marvel is in March. Your thoughts? I don't know about that. I think our first Avengers 4 trailer is imminent. I think it's imminent. Like, within the next 72 hours, I believe we're going to get an Avengers 4 trailer. But we've already had our Captain Marvel trailer. And I believe we will get our first Avengers trailer. Then, I believe we will get our second Captain Marvel trailer before we get our second Avengers trailer. So, yeah, Captain Marvel's in March, but we've already got the first trailer. Granted, it wasn't a full-blown trailer, granted. But we've already got it. We got one. So I do believe we will get our first Avengers trailer before our second Captain Marvel trailer. Yes. And then we will get our second Captain Marvel trailer before we get our second Avengers trailer. That's how I kind of think it's going to roll out at any rate. So, and now, will the first Avengers trailer be a full 2-minute 20-second, 2-minute 30-second trailer? I don't know. I suspect, and I'm only suspecting, I'm just speculating here. I suspect that the first Avengers 4 trailer will be 1:30. Something like that. And then the second Avengers trailer will be 2-minute 20, 2-minute 30-second long trailer, right? So that's how I kind of think it's going to pan out at any rate. Could be wrong, but that's how I'm suspecting it. But anyway, glad you could join us, Dark Sith, and thanks for sending in the mention. All right. Movie Mania writes, are you not taking video questions on open mic now? No, I'm not. There are a couple reasons I'm not taking video questions on open mic anymore. Number one, the whole point of open mic was to take live questions, and video recorded questions just aren't live. Number two, not a hell of a lot of people when I was doing video questions, not a hell of a lot of people sent in video questions. So, and sometimes the video questions were really bad. And I was like, if this wasn't a video question, I probably wouldn't select this question. You know what I mean? So there were very few people sending in video questions. And so I stopped taking video questions a long time ago. And just kind of went back to just, making open mic truly live questions that come in. Am I saying I'll never do video questions again? No, I really like video questions. I do. I like being able to actually put, people up on screen. I like being able to do that. So I'm certainly not saying we'll never do that again. I suspect we will find a way to do that. But maybe it's a part of the John Campea Show. I don't know if it'll be part of open mic anymore. But maybe we'll make maybe we'll make video questions a part of the John Campea Show. Either way, I will let you guys know. If we're going to experiment with video questions again, I will give you guys plenty of advance notice and let you know. So just keep your ears open for that. All right, Mr. Hank Down writes, I wish Marvel would use more practical effects. I don't know, man. Here's the thing. Practical effects are not better than digital effects. And digital effects are not better than practical effects. You use the effect that works best for that shot. So, for instance, for Thanos, you don't have a man in a rubber suit for Thanos. That just would not have been as good as the digital effect, right? And there are just certain scenes. You know what? A lot of people used to complain. And I remember Robert Meyer Burnett brought up a great point the other day. A lot of people would complain, with Star Wars The Phantom Menace, too many digital effects. But they used more practical visual effects in The Phantom Menace than in any other film in film history. The movie you always talk about, they went too digital, used more practical effects than almost any other film in history. So I disagree. I don't want to see Marvel use more practical effects, and I don't want to see them use more digital effects. I want to see them use whatever is the best tool for that particular shot. If this particular shot calls for, we'll get our best results with a practical effect, great. That's cheaper, depending on the shot. If that effect, yeah, you can do it practical, but it'll look better if we do it digital, then go digital. I don't want more digital or more practical. I just want them to use whatever is the best method for that particular shot. And that's the way they'll do it. Abraham Hanaitai, I'm sure I butchered your name, Abraham. Sorry about that. Writes, hello, John. Thanks for all you do. You're quite simply the best. Oh, thanks so much, man. I was wondering why there aren't any dinosaur films lately. I think for a couple reasons. The main one is I think any dinosaur film that gets made is instantly going to be compared to Jurassic World, right? And probably not compared favorably. Secondly, making any kind of dinosaur movie is incredibly expensive. Because that's not really something you can do a full movie, with practical. And even if you did it with practical effects, it would be insanely expensive. So it's not cheap movies to make. Not cheap at all. Very expensive. And you've already got kind of a franchise out there that's cornered the market on it. Now, look at Kong. Kong had dinosaurs in it too. So it's not like we don't see them at all. But I think a lot of studios are just afraid of being called Jurassic World ripoffs or things like that. So, and then you compound that with the fact that they're very expensive movies to make. So, yeah, I think that's a couple of reasons. I would be down for more dinosaur movies, though. I like dinosaur movies. Sentez Henderson writes, saw Green Book. I'll be honest, I'm not impressed. Hey, man, that's the subjectivity film. I thought Green Book was crazy good. Crazy good. Not best picture of the year good, but crazy good nonetheless. But, dude, the subjectivity of film means there's going to be movies people love that you don't, and movies that people hate that you love. And that's true of all of us. That's why film's subjective. So no need to feel like there's no need to apologize for not liking Green Book. It's not there is no movie that is for everybody. There is no movie for everybody, and there's nothing wrong with you not liking Green Book. PGML writes, sorry, Sony, there I said, well, PGML, you proved me wrong. I said nobody would apologize to Sony, and yet here you are proving me wrong. Thank you for that, man. That was very big of you. Let's see here. Just a few more to go, guys. Tony Hernandez writes, hey, John, just want to tell you congrats on the show and proud Patreon supporter. Well, thank you for being a Patreon supporter, man. You guys are the reasons I'm able to do this show at all. Here, and I love your show, best YouTube show and nicest community. Well, thank you. And by the way, we do have the best community. We have the best community. Like, when you look at YouTube videos, even if it's a YouTube video of a guy showing you how to fix a faucet, the toxicity on YouTube is crazy. And is there some in my chat boards too? Yeah, there's some. But for the most part, this community that you guys have formed here in my channel is like my favorite. It's honestly amazing. There are a few blips here and there, but honestly, the amount of civil, fun discourse with disagreement going on in my is great. I actually saw a couple of weeks ago this big debate break out between 4 or 5 different people in this one comment section over The Last Jedi, which is always, hot. That's always hot. And you had 2 or 3 guys that hated The Last Jedi, 2 or 3 guys that loved The Last Jedi, but the discussion was wonderful. It was all, yeah, man, I could see where it can come from. I could see why you like that. But, when they did this, and this, and this, it just pushed the wrong buttons with me. And I really feel like they could something different. And then the other guy, instead of going, you're stupid. No, the other guy went, yeah, I could see what you're saying there. But, I had a different response to it. I had a different reaction to it. And I'm reading this conversation between a group of people who hated The Last Jedi and this group of people who loved it. And it was civil. And it was like just, hey, we're all film fans here. Let's talk about why we did. And it gives me hope for humanity. So I got to agree with you, Tony, man. I love our community here. I really do. Gojira King 1 writes, hey, John, my friends are saying that the 2019 Lion King has omitted Be Prepared from its soundtrack. Is this true? I've only found one interview from February claiming this. Does Lion King 2019 need it? I believe that's a confirmed thing. I believe Be Prepared is not in it, which once again just kind of proves that Lion King is not a shot-for-shot remake. And I think there's even one or two new original songs that are going to be in it as well that weren't in the original. So this is not a shot-for-shot remake. And I'm perfectly okay with it. I'm perfectly okay. Don't get me wrong. I love Be Prepared. But I am not approaching this Lion King movie as be exactly the same as the original. No, I'm just not that. I'm like, hey, do a movie. Do a new version of the movie in this new medium. And just make it the best movie possible. And if that means you do a couple of new songs, fine. If that means you take a couple of songs and a couple of scenes out, fine. Just make a great movie. So, yeah, I have heard that Be Prepared. I've also heard there's another one or two that got taken out as well, but I don't know what those are. So that is my understanding, Gojira King. My information might be wrong as well, but that is my understanding at this point. And I'm perfectly fine with it. Not because I don't love Be Prepared. Be Prepared, sung by Jeremy Irons. I love the song, but I'm okay if they don't put it in the movie. Hell, I'm okay if they don't have Hakuna Matata in it. If the way you're making this movie, it's cool to take that song out, then take that song out. This isn't the original. This is based on the original. It's not a shot-for-shot remake. I'm okay with it. Let's see here. Fleming Peterson writes, Hi, John. Love the show. Thank you so much. Just saw Borg versus Macro. Love that movie. Totally got forgotten about. I love that movie. Great, by the way. R rating in USA because of F-word, little nudity. Is it over 7 years? It is over 7 years in Denmark. Why? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? It is over 7 years in Denmark. What is over 7 years in... Let me try this one more time. Borg versus McEnroe, great by the way. R rating in USA because of F-word / little nudity. It is over 7 years in Denmark. Man, Fleming, I feel so bad. You took the time to write this in, and I don't know what it is you're asking. I apologize about that. I'm just not quite sure what it is you're asking about. Rodel Oruna writes, thoughts on District 9, one of my favorite sci-fi films. Love District 9. Love District 9. I really wanted a sequel to that. I really did. And unfortunately, District 9 made Neil Blomkamp this really hot name, and I haven't liked a single thing he's done since. I thought Chappie was terrible. I thought Elysium was terrible. He hasn't been able to follow that up, and so I don't know. I don't know how I feel, but the movie itself I thought was great. I love District 9. All right. Santez Henderson writes, Hey, John, read the new 007 comics. Oh, I didn't even know there were new 007 comics. They are great if you need a good James Bond adventure. They made him exactly what he's meant to be, spy and assassin. Well, first of all, Santez, I agree. I love that element of James Bond. But let's not say it's what he's meant to be. There are different people with different opinions about what he should be. But I like James Bond the most when he's the spy and the assassin. I kind of dig that a lot. Anyway, I didn't even know that there were new comics out about James Bond. So thank you, Santez, for putting that on my radar, because I am going to look that up. I'm going to crack open my Comixology app here and see what I can find. All right, Stephen Fraser writes, Hello, John. Did you hear Hugh Jackman's big news? Oh, God, yes, I did. Not Wolverine, but a world tour of songs from The Greatest Showman, Les Mis, and more. Thoughts? Well, yes, you guys remember we talked the other day that they made this big deal. I've got this big announcement coming. Big announcement. And a whole bunch of people wondering, is he going to be Wolverine again? And I told you guys, he ain't going to be Wolverine again. But, I did think it would be a big movie announcement. Because, somebody brought, maybe it's a Broadway thing. I said, would he really be making this big a deal over doing a stage show? But that's exactly what it was. For those of you who didn't hear, Hugh Jackman is going to be embarking on a world tour doing a one-man stage show where he's going to sing some of his big hits from Greatest Showman, from Les Mis, and a couple of more. Now, I don't think that was worth making that big deal about, but I will tell you this. I will line up to buy a ticket the moment they're on sale in LA. I will buy a ticket to that immediately. I think Hugh Jackman may be the greatest entertainer in the world. There is nobody who comes close to Hugh Jackman as far as being the true triple threat. He can sing, he can dance, he can act. And he does all of them exceptionally. All of them exceptionally. I think, pound for pound, he is the greatest entertainer in the world. And I will be there the moment those tickets go on sale to see that Hugh Jackman show. No doubt. But was it worth all that hoopla about big announcement? I don't know about that. Final question of the day comes to us from Arturo Beltran, who writes, "Hey, John, whatever happened to Tron 3? I remember on the Blu-ray disc, they teased the crap about Tron 3 and nothing. Keep up the good work." There's a long history about the drama behind Tron 3. They scrapped it because Tron, what was it called? Upright? I can't remember what the name of the most recent Tron was. But it did not perform the way they expected it to perform. And so they kind of put another Tron movie on the back burner. Then, about a year or two ago, there was this movement to try to get it, back on the front burner. They were trying to get it moving again, and then that ultimately stalled too. I don't think we're going to see a Tron 3. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think we'll ever see another Tron movie, but it'll probably be a reboot. I don't think we're going to see a Tron 3. I don't think we're going to see the continuation of this story, because like I said, Disney was not thrilled with the results they got from the last one. So that's kind of where we're at this point. It got derailed. They tried to get it back on track, derailed again, and I think that's where we're at right now with Tron 3. And honestly, just me speculating, I'm not claiming to have any insider knowledge here. Just me speculating, I don't think we're going to see it. I really don't. I don't think we're going to see it happen. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Again, deep gratitude to all of you guys who hung in there and were patient, with the torrential rains we had in LA causing these big leaks at the office, and I had to turn around. It was an hour and a half for me to drive home from the studio because of all the mayhem in Los Angeles right now. It was a nightmare. We had to reset one of the live streams, which means we lost some of your guys' super chats, and my apologies for that, but I'm going to see if I can dig those up, and we'll get those into a companion video. So guys, not just for being, viewers and supporting the channel, thank you for your patience with me, because, I don't have a team of 50 people. I don't have a team of 20 people. For the most part, I got me. And that means I drop the ball sometimes. And sometimes circumstance happen. And the fact that you guys have always been so patient with me when that happens, I appreciate it so much, guys. So anyway, that will do it for me for now. I will, of course, be back again tomorrow, probably from the studio, but maybe back in the main studio. Ann and I are going to go to a Lakers game tonight. Yeah, I just, you know what? I've never seen LeBron James play live. So we're going to go and watch LeBron James play live. Maybe we'll put up a little vlog of this on the channel a little bit later, so keep your eyes open for that. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.